Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shiksha Sneha. I am a Michigan State alum of class of 2021, and I will be your host this evening, or afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you for the folks who are watching the live stream. This is provided by WKAR Public Media. This day it's just unreal. Like, I was just talking with my friends, and we just cannot believe that this is actually happening. All the students who worked on this have made it happen, and we are so excited to be here today. Before we begin the actual program, we're going to do a little bit of recognition. So first, I would like to ask any student who has participated on the project team to stand up to be recognized. Then I would like to ask anyone who's student, faculty, or staff who has participated in the steering committee, the feasibility study committee, or any of the committees regarding the Multicultural Center. Please stand up. Now, members of the design firm Smith Group, please stand up. Woo. And finally, members of Clark and White Construction Group, please stand up. Thank you all for your hard work on making this happen. Next, I would like to invite some students up for the libations and land acknowledgement portion of the ceremony. I would like to invite Neely Bardwell from North American Indigenous Student Organization, Drew Bender from Black Students Alliance, Sujin Lee from Asian Pacific American Student Organization, and George Ramirez Madrigal from Culturas de las Razas Unidas. Please welcome them up on stage.
First, we're going to do a living land acknowledgement. Michigan State occupies the ancestral traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Three-Fire Confederacy of Ojibwa, Odawa, and Potawatomi peoples. The university campus resides on the traditional lands of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe, ceded under duress in the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw. Michigan State University was established through the so-called land grant system, where 10.7 million acres were taken from 245 tribal nations through the treaty systems or through force to fund and establish agricultural colleges. In particular, Michigan State was founded off of 235,193 acres of Anishinaabe land seceded in the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw and the 1836 Treaty of Washington.
We recognize, support, and advocate for the sovereignty of Anishinaabe nations area, for historic Indigenous communities in Michigan, for Indigenous individuals and communities who live here now, and for those who were forcibly removed from their homelands. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold Michigan State University more accountable to the needs of Indigenous peoples and to the creation of equitable and fair policies for years to come.
Land grab universities forcefully removed Indigenous peoples from their lands and continue to profit off Native students without providing them with the necessary tools for success. Indigenous students have complicated and isolating past and present with land grant universities. This acknowledgement is a marker in our road to equitable advancement of Indigenous students and their communities. Good afternoon, everybody. We are so excited to see a day like this come into fruition. Like previously mentioned, I am George Ramirez Madrigal, the current president for Culturas de las Razas Unidas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sujin Lee. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm the current president of APASO.
My name is Drew Bender. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the current interim president of Black Students Alliance.
Bonjour, Manadokwe Indigenous Lolan Donjava, Waganaxing Odawa and Dao, Nakwejang Gada. My name is Neely. I am the current co-chair for the North American Indigenous Student Organization.
And collectively serve as the current leadership for the Council of Racial and Ethnic Students.
Libations are an essential ceremonial tradition and a way of paying homage to the ancestors and paying respect to those that came before us.
The process of libations begins with a liquid being poured. Next, we will speak a loved one's name, and after each name, we will say Ashe, which means amen, yes, or right on. Harriet Tubman. Ashe. Frederick Douglass. Ashe. Ida B. Wells. Ashe. Emmett Till. Ashe. Medgar Evers. Ashe. Martin Luther King Jr. Ashe. Thurgood Marshall. Ashe. Shirley Chisholm. Elijah Cummings. Ashe. Ariel Anderson. Ashe.
Yuri Kochiyama.
Ashe.
Grace Lee Boggs.
Ashe.
Fred Korimatsu.
Ashe.
B.R. Mbedka. Thich Nhat Hanh. Philip Vera Cruz. Dr. Ronald Takai. Corey Keeley. Hanunani Kai Trask. Ronald T.Y. Moon.
Cesar Chavez. Gloria Anultaza. Silvia Mendez. Gilbert Padilla. Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez. Solomon Cruz. Emma Tenuyuca. Jose P. Lurel. Aida Cartagena Portalín. Sal Castro. Héctor P. García. Y Mimi Lolanzo.
Paul Johnson. Dennis Banks. Dave Shadanaquit. Wilma Mankiller. Eddie Benton Benai. Anna Maya Quat. Clyde Bellacourt. Susan Applegate Krause. Walt Brizette. And Giwaden Ba Elliott.
Sylvia Rivia. Polly Murray. Uvache Vad.
Marsha P. Johnson. Baynard Rustin. Audrey Lord.
James Baldwin. Bessie Smith.
Edith Windsor. Paula Gunn Allen.
Thank you so much. We'll shift it back to Shiksha.
Thank you to all the students. It is remarkable, all the work you do as students and as student leaders. We appreciate you. Another round of applause for them. Next, I would like to invite Interim President Teresa Woodruff to the stage to provide some welcome remarks.
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen this many people at a groundbreaking or at a ribbon cutting, so I'm so glad to see so many of you here today. Come on in. There's more seats at the front. So we welcome everyone into our multicultural tent. No pressure. But we're all delighted that we could share this beautiful day together to celebrate the groundbreaking of a new Michigan State University Multicultural Center. So I want to... start by acknowledging our Board of Trustees, and in particular our Board Chair, Dr. Rima Vassar, for her leadership in getting the... And I also want to acknowledge administrators and deans, faculty, staff, alumni, and students, and in particular, wasn't called out earlier, the first who are in the... I know where you are. They will be here for the ribbon cutting as well. So we're really excited for you to see the shovels in the ground and a really big pair of scissors at some point during your time here at the university. I also want to thank Janet, who is here to ensure that we are all enabled to be full participants, and to Ernie and Phyllis Green, who are also here with us. Thank you for being here. As I was thinking about this day today, I was out a quote from Cesar Chavez, who once said that we need to help students and parents cherish and preserve the ethnic and cultural diversity that nourishes and strengthens this community and this nation. Nourishing this community, this university, this state, this nation, and the world itself with knowledge and understanding is the very essence of Michigan State University's mission. Our embrace of diversity is a crucial element that informs our pursuit of that mission. With this building, then, that rises from our scoops of soil, the university's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion now begins to take physical substance as an enduring, visible symbol. Indeed, and as we can hear the traffic going by, this multicultural center's location at this busy crossroads of this great campus itself makes a statement. Here at the intersection of roads and of a river, our campus community passes each day. As we see this building rise on this site in the months ahead, it will be a representation of our university's commitment to DEI. The Multicultural Center will afford us the physical spaces to have critical conversations, the cultural spaces to be ourselves, and the affirming educational spaces giving everyone a place to grow. With the intentional inclusion of common areas inside and the amphitheater among its exterior features, the designers, through inclusive planning and creative processes, have created multiple spaces for intellectual collaboration and exchange and a little bit of dance and fun. The university was fortunate to be able to work with the architects at Smith Group, whose dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusions was one of the reasons the committee selected them. Smith Group has an extensive higher education portfolio that includes numerous cultural and museum projects including the National Slavery Museum in Richmond, Virginia, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C., and now the MSU Multicultural Center. This center will be a living, breathing thing. It will be animated by the people who work and study and gather here, and it will grow with the cycles of people who come and are part of Michigan State. Its meaning and influence will be defined by what goes on inside and around and beyond as it becomes one of our spirals of excellence, with a beacon to the world, shining a light saying what we do here is excellent, and shining a light of access to those who want to be part of our education and our research missions. In doing all this, we will be advancing our DEI goals in the MSU 2030 strategic plan, supporting and enabling everyone's success. I want to finally thank those who never stopped advocating for such a place at MSU. And they include a group of alumni who are here with us. Let's hear you. So we can't name all the whoops and the shouts, but just know we're with all of you. But I also want to specifically call out Jabbar Bennett, our CDO for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, a leader not just for MSU, but for this world who so urgently needs the way he thinks. Jabbar, thank you. I also want to include Sarah McConville, who is the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for Michigan Residences Halls Associations 4 years ago. And Tammy Cervantes and Miracle Chapman, who formed the Students for Multicultural Building organization. Let me just say, your hands are going to get tired, so get ready. We're going to keep going. The other individuals and groups, including the Black Student Alliance, the Council of Racial and Ethnic Students, the Council of Progressive Students Coalition, and the Alliance of Queer and Ally Students. And I want to give a special thank you to 2 additional people. One you heard from at the beginning, Janine Royal, Dr. Royal, Dr. Royal, Dr. Royal. Where's Dr. Royal? Dr. Royal is the heartbeat of this university, and we thank her for all she's done. And then I cannot stop but praise a singular person whose vision for this campus has been a guidepost for so many of us. I call him a life coach, both for individuals and for a university. Please join me in thanking Vennie Gore. Vennie I can't conjugate. Dr. June, I can't conjugate today. He really represents, how about that? This university in its excellence and its humbleness. So Vennie, thank you for all you've done. So my job was to make you feel welcome. Do you feel welcomed? This really is a milestone in the physical and cultural journey of this campus and community. As Cesar Chavez said, the cultural diversity we respect and represent through this building will nourish communities far beyond the boundaries of this campus. Thank you all. I'm glad that we can all celebrate this together.
Thank you, President Woodruff, for your words. Next, I would like to invite the Board of Trustees Chair, Dr. Rima Vassar, up on stage.
Thank you, Shiska. Shiksha. Okay, I just want to make sure I got it correct. Thank you so much. And thank you, students, for coming with the libations. I mean, this has just been energy all day. It's just been energy. I want to repeat Interim President Woodruff's welcome. Welcome to all of you today, including our design and construction partners, as well as the members of our campus community. I want to also thank two trustees who could not be here, Trustee T-Bay and Trustee Scott. Both have been champions of this work since they got on the board 4 years ago. So a lot of this work predates me, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But they were instrumental in making sure that this plan became reality. So I just wanted to make sure I thanked them in their absence. And you shouted out all the people that I wanted to thank, all my favorite people. So I'm just going to go quickly. Thanks also to the Senior Vice President for Student Life and Engagement, Vennie Gore. I don't know if you know Vennie, but Vennie is just zen, like Norm Poshop, just zen. Like, he's unrattled. Every time you talk to him, you're like, Vennie, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. Okay, you know, he's very smooth, right? Like, okay. And then he'll give you a story about him and his daughter every single time. Every single time. And just, it takes all the wind out of whatever you came. The emergency is over. I'm like, dang it, Vennie. You're the wrong one. I want somebody to go hype with me. So I just wanted, I want to thank you, and I do want you to stand, because without you, this work would not be here. Did you even stand? Okay. And to Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer Jabbar Bennett, thank you for your support and all of your DEI efforts. You are making a difference on this campus that I can actually see. And you know, in university years, 1 year is like 7 dog year, right? So you're working at lightning speed, and I appreciate your efforts. Yes. And thanks to all of the other folks who have engaged throughout this project, including the original steering committee chairperson, Paulette Granberry Russell. There you are. No, thank you. And we also want to thank President Emeritus Sammy Stanley, who actually heard your voices and your calls for this authorized start of planning, and it was under his leadership that we began to break ground. So I appreciate him in his absence. So let's be clear, this cultural center is the result of decades of struggle, resistance, and advocacy. Vennie showed me this. He's like, look at the history right here. It's right here in this pamphlet. Because I was thinking about all the people who tarried and toiled for this to be here today, right? It's the legacy of students like Darius Payton, and other student organizers of the Study In. Also, that was my boo who was at that Study In too. That was Lucius. He was at that Study In too. He probably like, because that was back in the olden days, children, 1989. Olden days, but that was the best era, by the way. So where students sat together for many days and compelled the administration to address the issues of the day. It's the legacy of the former Office of Minority Student Affairs and the Minority Aid Program, whose leaders are still serving the university today. Leaders like Murray Edwards, leaders like Fred Watson, Luis Garcia. Where is Luis? I can't. And obviously, we would not be here without the tireless leadership of Dr. Lee June. So you might as well go on and stand up too. Come on with it. Thank you. Our wait is over. Our wait is over. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his famous letter from the Birmingham jail, explained his impatience with society's admonition to continue to wait. That is, wait for the right time for social justice to be delivered. It rings in the ear with piercing familiarity, he wrote. This wait, he said, has always, never. It's kind of like your mama. I'm going to think about it. Doing it. It's sounds like, which means you're not going. Sit down somewhere because you're not going. We still wait for some of the things King dreamed of. We're still waiting for some of the promises of the country. We're still waiting. But at long last, Michigan State University has given a signal. Our wait for a major investment signifying this institution's commitment to a welcoming campus, respecting our values, is nearly over. In February, after 3+ years of active planning, before which had been decades of advocacy, and as a campus and a nation, we celebrated Black History Month, the board gave the final go-ahead to build this facility. And now we realize justice. See, DEI is, to me, lightweight. I look out here, you look like the United Nations. This is a beautiful crowd. Melanated, beautiful, polished, y'all shining, it's sparkly and new. You look beautiful. Diversity is not hard. Getting people in the same room is not difficult. Getting them to be in the same room and love and respect and accept one another, that's the hard work. That's the work of and that's the work of justice. You need spaces like this multicultural center where people can convene and decide together to respect one another, to accept and not tolerate, to accept one another, to rejoice each other, to celebrate one another, and to continue the fight for more justice. This space is necessary. It will be true of this multicultural center. It's a safe and welcoming gathering place for all to grow through interactions together. I haven't touched this mic. You know I'm not. Get behind me, Satan. You see I haven't touched it. You gonna, check me out? I'm almost done. It's not your fault. You see, an angel just come. As soon as I rebuke him. Thank you, angel. Oh, Jesus. Let me back on now. Okay, Father, I got ahead of myself, Jesus. Okay, so it'll be a place. I promise I'm not doing anything to this. So it's a place of belonging and affirmation, a safe place where students and others can feel seen and heard and connected. It will build community and very crucially nurture students' engagement in their education in this university experience and beyond. It'll be a place of learning where experiences are shared and assumptions challenged, preparing all students to succeed in an increasingly connected and cosmopolitan world. It's going to be a home to student organizations such as the illustrious sorority Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. It will serve as a home to other organizations as well. And as a welcoming gathering place for all to grow. I ain't got no sense. So, and with an indigenous-inspired ceremonial fire pit outside and banks of glass across its external walls, it will be a place of light and of inspiration, of air, of peace. As Interim President Woodruff said, it's a stunning representation of this university's dedication to values, the strategic goals, support, to success for all students, faculty, and staff at Michigan State. And finally, our wait is over. Welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Chair Rima Wasser, for your remarks. Next, I would like to invite the Interim Provost, Thomas Yaitzko, to provide his remarks.
Thank you, Shiksha. I can't stop smiling. This is just such an exciting day. So, I too would like to reiterate Interim President Woodruff's welcome to everyone here today, in person or via the live stream, including our design and construction partners and the members of our campus community. I also want to thank everyone who played a part in bringing together for the groundbreaking ceremony today. Thank you for that. This is part of our first step in the Multicultural Center. That's exactly where we are also. This is the center of campus, and this is exactly also where the Multicultural Center belongs and where it will be. We call it a center not just because of the location, but it's also a word chosen purposefully to represent what this building is intended to be and intended to embody. A central place and a space on campus where MSU's long-standing commitment to multiculturalism will coalesce under a single roof. As a center, which is also a point around which everything else revolves, it will provide a central campus location dedicated to fostering inclusion, education, connection, and celebration of multiculturalism here at MSU. It will do this as a community center, as a cultural center, as a resource center, as a language and education center, and as a performing arts center. It's open, accessible, flexible, adaptable, and inviting design speak worlds and these three words: all are welcome. Indeed. So much of any student's learning and education here at MSU takes place outside the classroom, and I will add to that gladly. It's not just the students, it's also the faculty and the administrators and the staff who are welcome here and who participate in learning in the classroom and outside the classroom. Co-curricular, extracurricular, and social activities provide vital and valuable opportunities for growth and learning and play a central role in the Spartan experience. Indeed, our entire campus functions as a living, learning community, a community built around discovery and learning. Students spend many more hours per week outside of classes than in them. And this new Multicultural Center will be a place where students can go to study, to connect, to hang out, and to relax throughout the day. With this intentional and iconic new center, we further integrate the centrality of MSU's commitment to DEI and justice into the campus world-class academic environment. Today, we look forward with anticipation to the countless ways in which its presence will foster student success and belonging here at MSU. And we give thanks for all those whose vision, commitment, and hard work have contributed to bringing us to this groundbreaking day. And I tell you, I can't stop smiling. So, thank you.
Thank you, Interim Provost Yaitzko. Next, I would like to invite on stage someone who I saw a lot my senior year of college. His advocacy and passion for DEI is present in our community today, in our campus today. So please give a warm round of applause for Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Jabbar Bennett.
Good afternoon, everyone. It really is a pleasure. You've heard everyone say that, how excited we are to be here today, and what amazing it is to be here and understand what this occasion means. and the decades-long advocacy that many put forward over years just so that we could be here. Before I start, Shiksha reminded me, and I knew, of course, but told you all, there were many people I've worked with over the past 2.5 years during my time at MSU as we've thought about and planned for this. And there's a student, a former student and alum who I saw when I came in and didn't recognize her, but who was in all the meetings across 2 years, not just 1 year, but Sharon Reed Davis. Can we just say hello to Sharon? So I want to acknowledge the service that student leaders give, as well as the service that all of us do every day, employees who are paid to do this work, but who care enough to go the extra mile often. So thank you again, and Shiksha for your remarks as well. And I want to echo what you've heard from our president and board of trustee chair and others regarding how excited all of us are to be here in this space and how much we understand what this facility means and the promise that it brings as well. This is a pivotal moment in time in our history as we move forward together and reflect on, again, all the people who came before and who will benefit from this space as we have and are working to create it. The Multicultural Center and this day symbolize, as President Woodruff said, an enduring, visible symbol of the university's commitment to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion. The building will help facilitate connections. It'll also help deepen relations, and I believe strengthen the sense and feeling of community for Spartans to come many generations ahead of us. Absolutely, absolutely. So today I do celebrate Michigan State's university commitment to, again, strengthening our world-class academic environment where DEI, as you've heard people say multiple times, can fully be integrated into what we do. So to our alumni and our current students, this is truly your day, truly your day. I want to name a few people and some different groups. If you want to clap individually, you can, or if you want to wait until the end, that's your choice. We'll see how excited you are. But I want to recognize administrators who helped to make the day possible. A few of those names that you've heard. Professor Lee June, a former Vice President, Student Affairs. Former Director of the Mosaic Unity Center, Maggie Chen Hernandez, if Maggie's here. Okay. Of course, and you'll hear this over and over again, Senior Vice President for Student Life and Engagement, Vennie Gore. And Emeritus President Stanley as well for supporting the advocacy and the work, the promise. With that, I look forward to the remainder of the program, and I want to thank the groundbreaking committee led by none other than Dr. Janine Royal, who we know, as well as Barb Kranz and Lisa Sidia in institutional space planning and management. I saw Lisa, and I'm sure Barb's here too. Great, great, great. In the back, I see you in the back. Awesome. So the other offices I just want to say that helped to make the event possible. Culinary services, we appreciate you. Infrastructure planning and facilities, we have a beautiful tent. We're not wet. We're not standing in the mud. The Office for Institutional Diversity and Inclusion, because my team has been quite involved in this work. University Advancement, University Communications, and finally, University Relationship Management. So thank you all so much. And again, it's an honor to be part of the leadership here at such a historic time for this institution, but for our students who are future leaders and for the world. And with that, back to you, Shiksha.
Next, we will have a few people on stage who are going to be talking about the history of the Multicultural Center. But before I invite them on stage, I would just like to say a few words about them. We'll start off by someone who is a dear friend and a mentor to not just me, but to a lot of people in this room, Miracle Chapman. Woo! And then we will have Professor Lee June, Dr. Lee June, whose advocacy is known by many student activists on campus, whose legacy is known by all of us, and we talk about him all the time too. And then finally, the history will be wrapped up by Sarah McConville, someone who is a dear and close friend to me, and whose petition was the reason this initiative got relaunched. So please, warm round of applause for Miracle Chapman, Dr. Lee June, and Sarah McConville.
Sorry. It begins with one voice. One voice sparks a conversation with another voice, and another, and another. It grows and grows until it becomes a movement. The people and their voices bring change. Change we see today at MSU began with the Civil Rights Movement. Students marched for change and for representation. Their voices demanded to be heard. The demands for racial and ethnic minorities to be represented, heard, and seen was a call to action for MSU. In the 1960s, President John A. Hanna listened to these voices and expanded equal opportunity in academic support programs. A decade later, in the 1970s, President Clifton R. Wharton Jr. listened to these voices once more. This led to the establishment of formal advisory groups for underrepresented groups, mainly women, a small stepping stone on a path of change. Change, however, would not arrive quickly enough. In 1989, more than 100 students flooded the John Hanna Administration Building for a 10-day study-in. 10 days. 10 days of sleeping on cold, hard floors, demanding to be seen. Leaving in shifts only to attend classes. Finally, in 1989, President John A. DeBaggio and Provost David Scott signed off on the development of the first draft of MSU's Institutional Diversity Excellence in Action, or IDEA, which included a recommendation to, quote, initiate efforts as resources permit to create a center for a new community, a multicultural center dedicated to diversity and excellence on campus. This, of course, was just a starting point. Fast forward to 1992. The MSU IDEA 2.0 initiative looked to promote student success through the lens of diversity. This initiative included 50 proposals of action, which included evaluation of leadership and administration, recruitment and retention of students, staff, and faculty, instruction, research, and outreach, and overall campus climate. 50 proposals, all of which prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. What hadn't yet been addressed, however, was the continued demand for space. A space dedicated to diversity and for historically marginalized groups to call their own, and to find a sense of community that will inspire them to succeed at MSU. MSU IDEA 2.0 sparked the idea of creating this space, this center for community, a freestanding multicultural building. One voice sparked ideas for change, and we gather here on the precipice of that change today. I am honored to be a part of this change.
And it's an honor to be able to stand between two student leaders. And I think you don't know the leadership that Miracle played. And I was telling her earlier that although there have been generations of students who've been pushing, she was one of the students who brought it home. It goes without saying that we would not be here today, as has already been stated, without the persistent efforts and passion of generations, yes, generations of Michigan State University students. The 1990s brought about the formation of the Council of Racial Ethnic Students, known as CORES, a council of students who brought their proposals to MSU administration and their specifications and desires for their space. In response to that, 2 sites were offered as possibilities to students: the basement at MSU Union and Will's house. I was serving then at that time as Vice President for Student Affairs and Services in 1997, and I worked alongside the Office of Planning and Budget and Management, and I want to echo 3 names: Dr. Bill Latter, Dr. Phyllis Grumman, and Jim Shepard, who was the director of the union at that time, to determine a space after President Peter McPherson and the Board of Trustees finally agreed to create a center, and that was in 1997. We worked through intense deliberations, and I would say intense deliberation. I can go back in my mind in the basement, various places in Student Services building, talking to the students because they were reluctant to accept that offer. And then they finally agreed that they would accept it. Even though they accept the basement, they were not happy with that decision. And they wanted something better to come along, but felt that something would be better than nothing. As a matter of fact, that's what I kept telling them. They almost walked out on us, but we said, you need to set something. But they hoped that this step would lead to eventually a freestanding multicultural center. So it was an imperfect solution in January 1999 when the first multicultural center opened in the MSU Union. And actually, Michigan State was probably one of the last universities within the then Big Ten to have a multicultural center. The students visited other campuses and saw what was happening at Penn State, University of Michigan, and they came back and said, we got to do better. This new space did not embody everything that CORES had hoped for, but it was a physical proof that a call to action and the voices of the people echoed through the decades brought their demands to fruition. As the university marched forward toward 2010, student leaders never lost sight of needing a bigger and better, well-resourced space. And then, although a miracle brought it home, there was another student leader, Mario Lemons. Would you stand? Mario is now a principal in Detroit, so what Mario did was he led campus-wide demonstrations about the space, and he called for a town hall meeting inviting all student communities who had concerns and issues that had not been addressed by Michigan State. More than 300 students showed up in Conrad Auditorium, and the push for progress was not going to be derailed. Right, Mario? And former President Luana K. Simon agreed to change the location of the Multicultural Center. Students were heavily involved, and then the Vice President for Student Affairs, I left that position in 2010, Dr. Denise Maybank, and Director of the Multicultural Center, then Maggie Chen Hernandez, and the then Assistant Vice President, who is now Senior Vice President, for Residential and Hospitality Service, Vennie Gore, would work together to design a space that would better suit student changing needs. And then I also need to echo again, Paulette Granberry Russell. Stand again, Paulette. And I'm almost finished, but this brings all kind of memories to me, and I'm not letting my emotion take over. But by 2013, the space was moved above ground on the second floor of the MSU Union with a new name, the Mosaic, and we know what the Mosaic is about. The new location brought the center's multipurpose room and some other facilities, but even with Mosaic, the students said they refused to stop advancing or advocating we use the word in advocating, but the students use the word what? Demands. The students were making demands. And I'm almost finished, but I will say this. Dr. King often said that, the rights were really the voice of the unheard. Really, demands by students are really the voice of the unheard. And the reason students make demands, and I used to tell administration this all the time, look, I used to try to prove Frederick Douglass wrong. He said, power conceives nothing without a demand, it never had. I used to say, why don't we give these students what they're asking for? Because in the end, you end up doing it anyway. So the struggle continued, and I'm elated to stand here today. This is my closing comments. I'm happy, but I will be even more happy next year when the building is actually dedicated. I know I'm taking more time than I'm usually not that way. But, Dr. Vassar mentioned, back in the day. I also was back in the day. and I'm going to end with a back in the day experience. One of the person that motivated me, and I'm glad to see Dr. Ernie Green. Would you stand again? And Miss Phyllis Green, would you stand also? I know I'm taking more time than I should, but you don't know. He was the person who desegregated Central High School in Little Rock in 1957. And here's my closing, really. I want to segue to something he said. Now, he has an honor that as his graduation, Dr. Martin Luther King attended. So Dr. Martin Luther King motivated him. And back in 1965, I was 19 years old. You can figure out how old I am now. I went to the Selma to Montgomery March because King was one of our heroes. So I was there. And I think it's appropriate at this occasion. And what Dr. King would do, if you study his speeches very well, is in spite of what was going on, he never left an audience in despair. And I remember at the end of that speech, and I'm going to say how long. When I say how long, I want you to say not long. The way he ended that speech was he would look at us and say, some people are asking how long, and that's what people were asking about the Multicultural Center. And Dr. King said, it won't be long. How long? How long? Because no lie can live forever. How long? How long? Because truth struck to earth will rise again. How long? How long? Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. How long? 2024, Multicultural Center.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah McConville. I use she, her, hers pronouns. Coming into more recent years, in 2019, a petition was launched by myself, the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the MSU Residence Halls Association. The petition detailed the demand for a freestanding multicultural building on campus. The petition became a center point of conversation and sparked a new wave of activism around the need for a dedicated space. I formed an organization to support this cause, Students for a Multicultural Building, which I led with my co-chairs, Tammy Cervantes and Miracle Chapman. We would then branch out to create an advocacy strategy involving student leaders Sharon Reed Davis, the Black Student Alliance president, and Shiksha Sneha of Dream MSU, ASMSU, and our host for today. to push our demands even further. The student of MSU and our constant perseverance towards creating change is what kept the dream alive. Leading up to fall of 2019, awareness of incidents of racial biases on campus and throughout the country increased, as they were now being videotaped for the world to witness. Student organizations, BSA, Corps and COPS leaders would not sit back in silence and therefore amplified their voices and created a list of demands for administrators. After 3 days of organizing, more than 100 students participated in a sit-in on the 4th floor of the Hannah Administration Building, insisting administration take notice that students were prepared to hold their ground until they gained an audience with the president. Student leaders drafted a 10-point plan for Stanley. Students Dante Rooker, Political Affairs Director of BSA, he's right there, and Leslie Morales, Chair of Alliance for Queer and Ally Students, led discussions with the administration. Once again, one of the primary demands was a freestanding multicultural building. President Stanley and administrators earnestly listened and responded by creating a steering committee in late 2019 to begin planning for a multicultural center and measure its feasibility of existing on campus. The pandemic exacerbated and complicated the process of planning for the building, but in September of 2021, the Board of Trustees approved the planning phase of the project and moved to construction. Current and past generations of Spartans shared in the pride of hearing the announcement that the 34,000 square foot multicultural center, a freestanding multicultural building on the northeast corner of Shaw and Farm Lanes, would begin construction in the spring of 2023. This new space was made possible by the students through their perseverance, dedication, and continued activism and advocacy of a freestanding multicultural center. This building wouldn't have become a reality if students had given up on this dream. Decades of protests, rallies, sit-ins, meetings, and planning have led to the creation of something tangible. The pride of the students of the civil rights movement shine through to the students of today and will continue shining through the students of tomorrow and decades to come. Words create action, and actions move mountains. What started with the voices of students decades ago led to the creation of a new structure that will serve the student body for decades to come. Countless Spartans kept this dream alive, including many former students, now alumni of the university, who have remained steadfast in supporting the realization of a freestanding multicultural building. To the students, we thank you. We thank you for never giving up and never settling for less. Thank you for raising your voices and never staying silent. You are seen and you are heard.
Our interpreter has to leave, but big thank you to Janet Juris for making this event accessible. Then I would like everyone to thank Dr. Lee June for his remarks today. And I'll ask Sarah McConville, Miracle Chapman, and Tammy Cervantes to stand up because we want to thank the students who really, really brought it home. And this was not in my agenda, but as we heard from the history section today, students were a key part of this movement. So I would like to ask every student who's ever participated, alumni, current students, please stand up to a warm round of applause. Next, we'll hear from someone who everyone has been thanking all day today. I would like to invite Senior Vice President for Student Life and Engagement, Vennie Gore.
I know this is not a Baptist church, because if it was, we'd be here for another hour, because it's my time to close. So, do we have any alphas in the room? Just to let you know, Trustee Bachelors, the alphas do show. The first. Not just saying, the first. So it's my job to close, and so I want to sort of talk about the people behind the scenes. And let me first start with my sister in trouble, Miss Paulette Granberry Russell. So when these group of wonderful students came forward and said, we need to have this, and Dr. Stanley said, Paulette, Vennie, Denise, you guys got to make this happen. And so when we first started off, we said one thing, is that the process is more important than the product. And what we meant by that was that this had to be student-driven. This had to have student voice. And it also had to have community voice. And so then there was another young woman who is sitting here that's my boss. I have a lot of bosses. And every time I would say that, Sharon would, I would go and say, Sharon, are we doing the right thing? And anyone who knows Sharon, she's not bashful. She'll tell you exactly if you're doing it right, if you're doing it wrong. But the other people in the background who make sure that they herded all the cats are Brian Mullen, Lisa Sadeka, and Tiana Carter. I mean, they're the folks that have to make sure that people like me do what I'm supposed to do. And organize everything from the RFP of the first consultant that we brought in to the architects. I kept harassing Brian because I kept saying, Brian, I want great design on a bare budget. And he would say, I don't know if I can do that. And I go, well, Brian, your challenge is great design on a bare budget. And so I really appreciate all the hard work that they did. The other important person, you heard from him today, is Lee June. Because every once in a while, I would call Lee, or I'd run into Lee, and I would say, so Lee, what do you think? And he would give me all the right wisdom, because your elders are why you're here. We're here today because we stand on the shoulders of our elders for many, many generations. And when you look out of the room, I see Dr. Maybank over there. Thank you very much for being here. We're here because a lot of people in this room gave blood, sweat, and tears to be here. I want to say thank you to everyone. There's another person here who I want to say thank you to, who called me out yesterday at a meeting because I forgot to invite her to celebratory. And Trustee Brianna Scott. Because when we started this, She was the person who said, tell me what you need, we'll make it happen. So I want to make sure that Trustee Scott is recognized for the hard work that she's done in the background, because you don't see that. So the other thing I know about being the closer is that you never get in the way of food, and there's cookies in the back. And you know, this is a glorious day, because I don't know if you knew, it rained this morning, but when we were preaching, the sun was out. And so it's time to go dig some dirt. Let's go dig some dirt.
Thank you, everyone, for joining on this historic day today. After, we are going to be inviting Don Lyons for a North American Indigenous song and land blessing. But after that song, guests are invited to mingle. We'll be inviting members to the site for some groundbreaking photos, and just talk to each other and get to know each other. So I'm inviting up on stage right now Don Lyons, citizen of Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe and descendant of 6 nations of Mohawk, principal of Indigenise LLC and an MSU alum.
All right, now I get to stand in front of people and their food here. Bonjour, ogma beneshe anigam nidonjaba, malku nidodum, nishnabe minwa honashoni da, East Lansing, Michigan da. My English name is Don Lyons, and I'm an MSU alumni twice over. Got my undergrad and master's here at this university. And so what we're going to do is I asked Neely to help me out with some smudge. And our people have been doing this for thousands of years before you could buy it at Whole Foods. All right? So I want to let you know, our people have been knowing about how this kills bacteria and drops things down a long time ago. That's why we're still here after thousands of years. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to ask her to walk down here, and what you can do if you want to, it's up to you, is you can take that smoke in here, bring it over your head, over your mind, good heart and good feelings. And as that smoke goes, it also goes into the air, into the land, and into the trees here as well. And then I got some Nasema here, some tobacco here. And so what I'll do, and if you want to, I'll open this up and I'll be up here just for a few minutes. If you want to take a little pinch, it doesn't need to be a lot, and you take it with your left hand, just a little bit of pinch, and then you can find a tree, you find a piece of grass, or if you want to go to the river, you can put a little bit of tobacco in that river, and that'll be the blessing, not just for my ancestors, our ancestors, but yours too, as well. And then I'll sing a song as Neely is going up here, and you can stay seated and you don't have to stand up here. But I'll just add before I sing the song that in front of the sign it said 1855, and in our handouts it says in 1960s. So I think about this process is not just decades, but centuries in the making. And we can't live with short memories. We got to live with long memories, because the systems, the bureaucracies, capitalism, all those things that are systems that we have to live with, they make us have short memories. And so we can't have short memories. All right, so 1819, this area was forcibly under treaty, seceded to make land grant institutions. 1855, Michigan State was founded and created on this land. But you know, the Anishinaabe people, Odawa, Potawatomi, Ojibwe, are traditional owners of this land. We're still here, we'll remain here. So knowing that we're the first peoples of this continent here, and when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we were always the first ones in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's carried forward to today. So when we do this song and prayer, and if you participate in prayer, you know, you take that in your heart. But I'll leave you with don't have short memories. Let's acknowledge the people who did the work, that got us across the finish line. This is not an end to it as well. but it's the start of something else. And for the young folks that are coming up, you have a space now. How are you going to be a steward of that space? And how are you going to move that forward? So there's always work to be done. You can pick it up. So I'll sing the song as Neely is going. And I'll be a couple of times through, because I know you guys are thirsty and hungry and want to visit and get our pictures in. But Chimigwich for the honor of being here. So thank you. Where's Maggie, too? She's not here. She's been texting me. And all right, what's up, Maggie? All right. Oh, Nekanigina, Chimigwich.
Thank you, Don, for your powerful voice and blessings. This concludes the program for today. Thank you all for coming. You're free to mingle with each other. Thank you, everyone who was joining online as well.
I'm trying to get out. Thank you.